Hello and welcome to Life with Francy podcast, a place where you will find all kinds of conversation like mental health, self-care, self-love, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a community where we support one another to get to the next level in personal and business life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get this show started. On today's episode, I have the pleasure to talk to Kim Sorelle. I know I said
Sorelle.
it wrong. I will get it right. And she is the author of Love Is. I am so excited to talk to her. And let's welcome Kim. So, Kim, what is life with you?
Oh my word. Well, right now life is fantastic, Francie, because I get to be with you. Thank you so much for having me
You're so
and
sweet.
with your listeners. And life is great. Life has changed for me a lot over the last year, and I'm loving it. I'm an entrepreneur. I started my first business right out of high school, and I sold some of my last businesses at the beginning of this year. And so I'm in a whole different phase of life now.
I love this for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tell us more about this book. How did it started? How did you
Yeah,
get into it?
sure. Well, so a few years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away 6 weeks after that. And
So
so
sorry.
my world obviously turned upside down. And it made me question love for whatever reason. Losing the love of my life made me question love. Was I doing it right? Did I really understand love? So I decided that I was going to figure it out. You know, there's so many songs, so many movies. There's Nicholas Sparks, there's Ed Sheeran, everybody telling us about love. And we have all these ideas about love. But what is love really? There seems to be this mystery surrounding love. So I decided I would take this 2,000-year-old poem that you hear at a lot of weddings. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, etc. Our eyes kind of glaze over because we hear it so often. But I thought I would take one word a month and figure out, well, what is love that is patient? What is love that is kind? I soon figured out that there were 14 is's and isn'ts of love in that poem. So it took me 14 months, not 12, a little over a year. But the things that I found out blew my mind and rocked my world. There are so many things that we're taught about love that are not love, and so many things that we do in the name of love that are not love, have nothing to do with love. And if you know love, really understand love, the true meaning of love, your life is so much better and changes all for the good, and the world would be a different place.
Oh my God, like you're blowing my mind right now. What a great question. What is love? Because we're taught this thing and love means so much, so many different things for so many different people. But for you to go on this journey and it took you 14 months, like what? I am so excited and so intrigued.
Yeah, well, and most of the time I was in Haiti. And so interesting things happened. I wrote the book whether anybody was going to read it or not. I did it for myself because I really wanted to figure this love thing out. So I start each chapter with what I think it means, what I think love is patient means, because I know what patience is, right? And then I tell the story of what happens in Haiti that leads me to the true understanding of what love that is patient is, and so on with all the rest of the chapters.
Yeah.
And I was chased by a motorcycle gang. I slept outside with tarantulas and snakes, and I got lost on a mile-high mountain. Just crazy things happened. And it took me a full month on every single one. They seemed simple on the surface when you just look at them. But the reality is they're pretty deep, yet
Yeah.
it all comes back to a real simplicity. So, like Love is Patient was the very first one out of the gate. And I had no idea what to expect, but it was the very first one. So the very first month, so I was just going around, love is patient, love is patient, love is patient, trying to keep it on my mind and really look for it and look for it. And I thought, well, I know what patience is. You know what patience is. You're not honking your horn if you're stuck in traffic, or you're not mad because you're ready to go and they're not ready to go, right? That's patience. Well, love that is patient, I figured out, is something entirely different than that. When you put love is or love is not in front of any word, it changes the entire meaning. So, love that is patient, I do believe you're supposed to love everybody. So, if you love whoever it is you're with, the person at the grocery store, even your next door neighbor, your partner, your kids, whoever it is, you love them with a love that is patient, it would say that this moment right here, right now, this moment is the most important moment of your life. What's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is yet to come. This is the moment, a moment that's going to happen with or without you. And so to be fully engaged and truly listen and give the person you're with the moment, instead of thinking of the meeting you have later in the day, or having to stop at the grocery store and pick up milk on the way home, the soccer practice at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or whatever else can flood our minds at any given moment, be fully engaged and truly listen to the person that you're with. And it is amazing what happens, because when you really listen, then you're not assuming what's being said. You're not waiting with your rebuttal. You're listening to before you have anything that you want to say back, if there's anything that you want to say back. You get to know people in a whole different way, and you see people a whole different way. So love that is patient is just fully engaged, loving the person that you're with.
Wow. Like, what do you say to that? That is, oh, I'm taking it all in, and I definitely need your book in my life, because that is, you're opening my eyes to a lot of things, because we're so busy and we grab our phones even when we're at dinner and things like that. And then at work, you know, you might have a coworker that said something, or your partner said something and you took it a different way. But if you're in the moment, the assumptions will go away. Like that right there. Wow.
Right. And that's just one of the 14. And so every month it blew my mind. Every month it was crazy like that. But it's so true. Being in the moment is so different. It is so different. And there are so many times that I thought I was such a great multitasker. I thought I could be thinking about something happening later in the day, something happening yesterday, what I was going to make for dinner, all at the same time, and listening. And it's just not true. It's not true. I am not a great multitasker. And this took me a lot of practice. This wasn't something that immediately I could love this way, because I was always distracted. I was watching the squirrel running by, and the spider on the wall, or whatever happened to be around, was so easily distracting me and taking my attention away from what's really important. And the really important thing is the person that you're with, the person standing in front of you.
And I can tell that you bring that energy, because just from the get-go of talking to you, like there's like such a calmness about you. And it's just like great energy coming at you that even made me stop. Like, whoa, hold up. You're like bringing too much energy in. Let's bring it back. So like, I love it. To be in the moment. So yeah, so how did you did you know that you wanted to write the book and that's why you did it? Or because you had the research and everything, you're like, oh, maybe I turn it into a book?
Well, they were a bit simultaneous, just because I was going to journal. I figured I would
I
journal
love
my
journaling.
journey.
Yes.
And I was going to do the journey, whether I wrote a book or I ever told anybody about it or not. I wanted to do it for myself. But then the things that I found out are so worth sharing. And so now I'm just passionate about getting the word out there and letting people know there's a different way to live. So often we think of love as this romantic thing, or this thing that is an emotion, right? Like fear or excitement, but it's not. Love is alive. Love is who you can be. Love is walking, talking, living, breathing, giving. Love is everything, and it's all encompassing. It's universal. And if you live love and answer the question, what would love do? How would love react to that? You're going to react in a whole different way, right? And you're going to look at things a different way. I mean, simply from things like, I remember when my kids were little and I'd be making dinner and they'd be driving me crazy. I have one son, Luke, who would poke my arm and poke my arm, mom, 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 mom. Oh my gosh, it drove me nuts. And now I realize if I would have stopped for 30 seconds, 20 seconds, I bet that is all it would have taken. If I would have stopped and given him my full attention for just the short amount of time, probably he would just say, I found a yellow truck, and then run away, you know?
Oh
It
my
could be
God,
the
that's what they
simplest thing.
do.
But there was something he had to say. And it's like that with adults too. You know, we ask people, how are you? And then we don't really listen. We just want people to say fine. We don't really want to hear the answer. But it's good to hear the answer. Sometimes people just need a listening ear. You know, another thing we're so good at is giving unsolicited advice. I say we're like I'm involving the whole world. I was so good at giving unsolicited advice. I don't know about anybody else, but it could be so easy to look at somebody's life and go, wow, if they just did this, man, the relationship would be so much better, or their job would go so much better if they just did this, if they just did that. Well, people aren't looking for advice necessarily. You know, that's what counselors and things are for. Sometimes people just need to vent. They just need someone to listen. And love would just listen and not offer the unsolicited advice. You know, you realize that we control nobody but ourselves. We only have control over ourselves. And so to try to control over other people is foolish. It's a waste of time. When you have a baby, you have total control, right? You have this infant, you decide when they eat, you decide when their diapers changed, when they have a bath. But by the time they're about 6 months old, they're getting every pot and pan out of your cupboard. They're making a mess everywhere. And you realize that you have lost total control and you will never get it back again. You never will. So we have no control over anyone but ourselves. And so love is this thing then that if you are love to other people, there is no room for judgment. There's no room for criticism. There's no room for condemnation. There's zero room for racism, discrimination. None of those things come in because you realize that every individual is special and every individual is worthy of love. And if you love every individual, you love that they are an individual, that it's okay if they have different opinions than you do, that they are not a label. They're not, you know, I don't know if you ever hear this, maybe, probably, because I think it's on the news, but people will say, oh no, I love everybody. Oh yeah, no, everybody's great. But those darn Republicans or those Democrats, right? Yeah. And we call out some people group that we just don't like. Well, it's not a people group. I'm not a people group. I'm Kim. You're Francy. Like we're not people groups, we're people. And so if we're really going to love everybody, we take all those labels away and we let people be who they believe they're created to be. And they can believe whatever they want. We have the freedom to believe whatever we want. And they have the freedom to believe whatever they want. And when you give people that freedom, which they have anyway, you know, it's really your mind is changing on it, right? I mean, they certainly have the freedom already. But when you realize that they do, that it's not up to you, you have no control over it, man, it is freedom like you have never felt before. Because all you have to do is love. You have no other responsibility, just love. And how easy is that? How much better does that make it? You know, we're going into the holidays soon, right? Going to Thanksgiving, and there's that annoying brother-in-law that always brings up politics, or there's that, you know, somebody, your sister, that drives you crazy because whatever it is she talks about. But if you look at them and you realize, you know, okay, brother-in-law, you know, you are who you are, and I have no control. You can be whoever you want to be, and I'll love you. We don't have to be best buds. We don't have to go out for coffee all the time. We don't have to hang, but I can still love you. but I can still love you and I can appreciate you for who you are, an individual who has a name and is a person with their own opinions.
Yeah, and mentioning the holidays, this will be after Thanksgiving, so it's gonna throw off some listeners. So I just
Well,
want to point that out, but it's still around the holidays,
well, if
and
it's
people
after
get the
Thanksgiving, there's
message.
still Christmas.
The thing is, getting together with the family, that's when you can practice love.
That's right.
I practice it at least every other year because my family's from Puerto Rico.
Oh,
So
nice.
like when I go over there, I get reminded by my mom that it's like, you have to love them, Francie. Okay, I will. Because my mom is amazing at that. It doesn't matter what you do, she'll still love you. She might send a prayer or two that are scary, but she still loves you. I'm a work in progress when it comes to love, and I love what you're saying because it's like I'm having aha moments, a lot of aha moments. And the closest thing that I got to what you were expressing is this lady at the grocery store. She was so sweet. I'm very sarcastic and joking and everything else. So she says, how are you doing? So my answer was, oh no, you don't want it now. This lady just stopped. It was like her whole world stopped, and she was like, oh no, sweetie, I'm here for you. I will listen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause any drama. I was just being funny. And she was like, oh no, I just say it because people out there don't think that people want to listen. But let me tell you, I'm here for you and I want to listen to you. And I was like, wow, because it was like how you expressed at that moment. She didn't care about anything or anyone. She wanted to give me her full presence and know that I matter, that I deserve love, that I deserve attention. I have never seen that before in my life.
Yeah, well, and what a wonderful feeling, right? I mean, to
Yes,
think that somebody feels like that about you is a great feeling. And to realize that people can live that way. And so if she can be that way, so can you.
I
So
know,
can
I'm
everybody.
trying.
But so can everybody, right?
Yeah,
But we're all a work in progress. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever arrived. I don't think
yeah.
I've never seen that on a tombstone. I've arrived. You know, I think we all are striving to be better every day.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, where can my listeners find you and find your book?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty easy to find. I am literally the only Kim Sorelle spelled my way in the entire world because it has a way too many letters. There are two R's, two E's, two L's, Sorrelle, kimsorelle.com. Love is the name of the book. So if you Google Love Is, it should pop up. It has a dark blue cover. It's available everywhere, Amazon. It's available on my website. It's available in brick and mortar stores like Barnes and Noble and other places. So it's out there, it's available. Another way though to get to my website is
Yes.
loveis.info. So that's a little bit easier, loveis.info. And I do have a free 14-day love challenge. It's a pretty simple thing. It's just something about love to keep in mind every day, something different each day for 14 days. And anyone who signs up for it, I will send a free WWLD, What Would Love Do wristband to you in the mail. And I love to hear from people. Reach out. I'm all over social media. And I am doing some coaching with couples, with individuals, with company execs on how to deal with love in their company and how it'll change things. And so I'm here, I'm available. I love people and I love to hear from people.
I love that. Yeah, I will have all the websites and the freebie on the show notes. So you offer coaching as well?
I
Is that
do.
what I understood? Okay, yeah. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it's been amazing. My book came out last December, and it's been quite a whirlwind. There are small groups at churches that are doing it. There are whole churches that are doing my book together. There are people that are handing it out for premarital counseling, for couples counseling, for family counseling. There are families doing it together with their adult children and meeting on Zoom once a month. And so I've gotten what I do then is I'm able to whoever, for individuals or groups or couples, whoever it is, um, I can coach you through love, through getting rid of your misconceptions, the myths that you've been taught about love, and bring you into a really great understanding of love to see how it impacts your world and the different places that it changes your world.
Wow. Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I love it. Oh, and I'm definitely gonna get your book because it sounds amazing, and I'm in this new journey about love as well because I have gone through hell and back, and loving people has been very hard, but I'm still willing to do it, because, everybody deserves it and I want it too. And then I'm in a new journey for self-love. Oh yeah, because that you have to start there, with
Exactly.
loving yourself to be able to give it to other people. And then the understanding of love, because what I thought it was love, it might not be love. So it's just the new journey. And I know that with your book, it's just gonna blow my mind, especially how you separate it. Love is kind, love is patient, and trying to dig into each emotion. I can't even imagine of all the aha moments that you had to go through for each emotion.
Yeah, it was nuts. And again, like I really thought it was going to be simple. I thought so many of them were simple. Some of them I thought were going to be hard. Like love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. Like how do you
Oh.
do that, right? Well, I figured it out. I did figure it out, but that one I was kind of dreading because it's like you forgive, but you don't forget. You don't forget the things that happened to you. It's not like you say, "Oh, I forgive you," and all of a sudden the memory of it is gone. The memory's still there. So that was an interesting month, but kind seems so easy. Like that should be so, and it ended up so different than what I thought it was going to be. So it was an amazing time, an amazing journey for sure.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. I really had a great time talking to you.
Yeah, so I had a great time talking to you. You're amazing, and I love your show. Everyone in the world should listen to your show. You're fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You are so sweet. Well, thank you again for listening to another podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Until next time, have a blessed day.